Welcome to Feeling Seen, the podcast about the movies and the characters that make us feel seen. I'm Jordan Crucchiola, and I want to take just a moment up top for a little bit of fanfare because this is our 200th episode of Feeling Seen. 200, count 'em, 2 amazing conversations, and if I may be so bold, 200 of the best episodes of podcasting out there for your listening pleasure. And that's not just hyperbole because the occasion, I truly mean that. And what better way to celebrate than to share a conversation with someone whose career I have been watching with great interest. Someone I have been wanting to speak to for a while now. One of our most exciting young actors, my co-host today, who you will soon hear me introduce in detail, is a young star who has been making outstanding movies since she was very young. And that is right. Who else could I be talking about but it is Thomasin McKenzie, ladies and gentlemen, and she is feeling seen by Julie Delpy as Celine in Richard Linklater's 1995 classic, Before Sunrise. She is our favorite aspiring borrower, and you're going to hear more about that in a second. So let's get into it with number 200. Boy, oh boy, it's a real Jordan special extravaganza on the show today because I am getting to interview one of my absolute favorite actors. You might know her from Academy Award winning and nominated fare such as JOJO Rabbit, or maybe you saw her in her breakout understated Deborah Granick film like mighty performance Leave No Trace, or the scintillating and smoldering Eileen, perhaps Last Night in Soho, perhaps Old, perhaps The Power of the Dog, and now you will have the chance to see her in FACKHAM Hall. Thomasin McKenzie, what else do the folks need to know about you before we get started today?
Oh my gosh, that was what else they need to know about me. I am sitting in a hotel room in London and I'm freezing.
You look bundled, and I was worried
Yeah.
it was cold where you were.
It's freezing cold. So that's what's going on with me right now.
I'm sorry you're cold and uncomfortable. I hope our jovial conversation can provide a bit of verve and vigor into your hour.
I'm sure it will.
Well, okay, FACKHAM Hall. I have been looking forward to this, and then I watched it, and I laughed the entire time. If I could describe this to audiences who just saw Naked Gun this year, this is like Naked Gun style farce set among landed British gentry. And I wanted to hear from you, Thomasin, about making this straight up comedy that I'm absolutely sure this is going to end up as one of my favorite movies of the year. I could not have been more tickled watching it. So tell me about comedy. Tell me about you and comedy.
I'm so happy to hear that. Thank you. I'm so happy that you enjoyed it. It is a lot of fun. And even like when I was watching it, I was laughing all the way through, which I usually hate anything I'm in the first time watching it. It's painful watching yourself and everyone is everyone, you are your own harshest critic.
Sure.
So the fact that I enjoyed watching it it says a lot, I think. So yeah, I'm really grateful that you said that.
There was one thing I had to start off by asking about that's a complete non sequitur, but as somebody who one of their favorite movies for years was The Borrowers, and who has read you say in multiple interviews that you long to have been born the size of a borrower, I just wanted to hear you say more on that. I wanted to hear you say more about wanting to be tiny and wanting to be a borrower, and I think that's great.
I love that you just said that.
It is. People don't talk enough about that as one of the great young person-oriented like fantasy comedy movies.
You know what? I was really seriously considering my answer, my movie for this podcast. I was considering it to be the Borrowers or Arrietty, the Hayao Miyazaki film, which is based on The Borrowers. Because my entire life, I just want to be a fairy. I want to be tiny. That's all I've ever wanted. I think it's because my mum loves dolls. She made when she was younger, she made her own dolls and miniatures. She made the furniture and the clothes and everything, the food, everything for them.
Hmm.
And like really, whenever she was feeling nostalgic, she would bring out her dolls and like show them to my sister and I, and it was
Hmm.
like a very magical, special thing. And because of that, I've always been obsessed with miniatures,
Hmm.
anything tiny. I just have a weird obsession with. So
Do you have a collection of tiny things? Do you accumulate tiny things?
it's a problem. It really is a problem.
At least the things you like are tiny. I love movie posters that are 24 by 36 inches
Right.
large and only
Yeah.
have so much room. I'm so sorry to take it like all, but like, is there like, do you have like a miniatures room? Like people have like, I collect Legos. I have my Lego room. Do you have a miniatures room? Like,
And I do, or I also have started collecting Lego. Anything that is like the size of my thumb, of your
uh-huh.
thumb, I probably have hundreds of them. Um,
I'm gonna do the weirdest thing ever. If I ever get the chance to attend some sort of like Q&A or red carpet where you're in something, I'm gonna be like, I'm bringing a tiny figurine.
Oh,
And
please do.
I'm going to walk up to Thomasin McKenzie and I'm just gonna say it's very nice to meet you in person and I'm gonna hand you something tiny.
I would love that. I
God,
would absolutely love it.
I have to
I,
contrive an experience to make this happen.
yeah, I mean, when I buy a home or if yeah, whenever that may be,
Uh-huh.
that is like I don't know, some spare room, spare bedroom or two. One of them inevitably will be turned into a miniatures room. Like that
Incredible.
is my one condition. My boyfriend and I were actually talking about this the other day. What are our
Yep.
non-negotiables?
Some people say dishwasher. You
Uh-huh.
say room for the miniatures.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like, poor guy, he's had to deal with all of my like miniatures like scattered around our apartment and our bedroom, like all these little dolls that he think are creepy, but I think are beautiful. So he was like, look, you can have your weird miniature obsession, but it
Mhm.
has to be like contained in a room and
Yeah.
not spread out over the entire house.
I mean, I look forward to the Architectural Digest tour of the fully realized miniature diorama that you turn a room in your home into. I think that's going to be really great.
Yeah.
And I will just violently segue us into the character choice that you have made for today, which is actually finally recently for the first time watched the Before trilogy. So please tell us about your entry point with Before Sunrise and the character you've chosen to discuss today.
I was like actually very nervous about what film to choose, what
Hmm.
answer to give, because I listened to Alison Williams' episode with you, and her responses or like her choice and everything she said was so beautifully thought through.
She's
Um,
also one of the great, like, there's a reason she has a podcast now with friends and is one of the great, like, articulate, on her
yeah,
feet, contemporaneous speakers. So,
I think maybe it was like the worst episode for me to have listened to because oh my God, I don't think I'm that smart enough or good at talking.
but
But
you are the only Thomasin McKenzie, and that is why there's no, not to be approached of any other episode. You are simply and singularly you, so it will be resplendent as such.
thank you. Um, I think I watched Before Sunrise in a COVID quarantine in
Mm,
New Zealand.
okay.
Um, I had to do it quite a few times actually. Anytime you re-entered New Zealand during COVID,
Mhm.
you had to spend 2 weeks isolated in a hotel room, completely alone. Um, and that is when I was introduced to the Before trilogy.
Mhm.
Also, when I was introduced to the Red, White, and Blue trilogy, which I also considered.
Oh,
So,
I watched that years ago in San Francisco with my roommate and she wanted and I was like, I don't know, I don't feel like watching something sad right now because she told me what it was about. She goes, it's not sad, it's French sad. And for some reason, that made enough sense to me for him to be like, you're right. It's different.
Yeah, there is a difference.
There is a difference. French sad is so beautiful.
Yeah,
It's so
artistic.
stirring and poignant.
Yeah. I also, well, like when the opportunity to do this podcast came up, I also had a miniature like crisis
Okay.
because I wasn't sure that I had watched a film in which I really related to a character before.
Mhm. It is so nice of you that you found one anyway and said yes to this. Thanks. Because it's a totally reasonable answer. It doesn't have to be a yes. And so much of what I love about these conversations is talking about the imperfect fit that we get to with folks, particularly folks who from marginalized backgrounds who haven't had the opportunity or breadth of options to choose from people, but to negotiate how we find ourselves on screen. But you could have just been like, that doesn't apply to me and said no, but you didn't. So thank you for taking a chance.
I really wanted to do it because as I said, I listened to your episode with Alison Williams and I just like, it was like the best interview I'd ever listened to. I really loved it. So
Thanks.
I thought either I say no now and wait till I have a really good answer, or I just say yes. So I just said yes.
Listen, okay, if there is if there is a moment that embodies like the characters in Before Sunrise, it is absolutely that. Like, just say
Yeah.
yes.
All right, I have an admittedly insane idea, but if I don't ask you this, it's just, it's gonna haunt me the rest of my life.
What?
I want to keep talking to you. I have no idea what your situation is, but I feel like we have some kind of connection, right?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, right. Well, great. So listen, here's the deal. This is what we should do. You should get off the train with me here in Vienna and come check out the town.
What?
Come on, it'll be fun. Come on.
What would we do?
I don't know. All I know is I have to catch an Austrian Airlines flight tomorrow morning at 9:30, and I don't really have enough money for a hotel, so I was just gonna walk around, and it'd be a lot more fun if you came with me. And if I turn out to be some kind of psycho, you just get on the next train.
It is
Yeah.
that like that immediacy of just say yes. And there's something that I lit search and reading various interviews and listening to various interviews of yours before coming into this. Like I've listened to you describe yourself as like perhaps indecisive, and I've read you talking about like I have trouble living into moment. And here we have in this character, like Julie Delpy's character, they're both so utterly in the moment in this, and they make this decisive move to get off the train in Vienna and spend this night together. And watching this in the heart of COVID in a quarantine is like the exact activity antithesis of taking a train through Europe and just jumping off at a random city and spending a night with a stranger who you've not quarantined with or social distance from. So how does this interplay and these set of decisions in this movie resonate with you or feel aspirational to you, perhaps? That's also a different kind of connection we can get into here.
That is the kind of connection that I have Julie Delpy in Before. I always get it confused, Before Sunrise, Before Sunset.
Yes, I've had to check myself each time I've said it in this conversation.
Every time I'm checking myself. I chose this film and this character because when I watched it for the first time, I didn't relate to her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, gosh, I really wish I could be like Julie Delpy in, this character. Just to be, I wish I was that spontaneous and that in the moment and courageous. I mean, it's for me coming from New Zealand, it's very courageous to be on a train going from country to country in Europe. It seems terrifying. And to like strike up a conversation with a stranger, with Ethan Hawke of all people.
Ich möchte nicht, dass du mit mir kommst.
Wart doch einen Augenblick.
Do you have any idea what they were arguing about? Do you speak English?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, my German is not very good. Have you ever heard that as couples get older, they lose their ability to hear each other?
No.
Well, supposedly, men lose their ability to hear higher pitch sounds, and women eventually lose hearing on the low end. I guess they sort of nullify each other or something.
I guess. Nature's way of allowing couples to grow old together without killing each other.
yeah, I when I first watched it, I was at a very anxious time in my life,
Mhm.
and I didn't consider myself to be courageous at all or
Mm.
spontaneous at all. And so I wished that I could relate.
Mhm.
And now, at this point in my life, I think I'm starting to.
Mhm.
Um, my New Year's resolution this year was to be more of a yes person.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah, to like kind of jump at opportunities and not be so hesitant.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that is why I picked this one.
I'm interested in sort of the foil of the sort of two elements we've got into discussion here of feeling like an innate sense of like I want to be a borrower. Like I want like I've seen you saying and you're like I've always wanted to be this big, like holding your fingers like closely apart. And then the notion of Julie Delpy in this movie. And I remember I was so delighted by an interview that you did on the Colbert Show. And at one point in it, you talked about like tall poppy syndrome and that
Yeah,
being something like in New Zealand, like it's, frowned upon to be like, the nail that sticks out, the one that gets hammered down in a sense. And this is Julie Delpy's character is a tall poppy.
yeah,
And that feels like it's in direct contrast with that more intrinsic feeling you have of relating to that, like, make me tiny and put me in the wall and let me live in a secret society where the rest of the world doesn't know I exist.
yeah, yeah. That's what I also really loved about Celine, about about Julie Delpy's performance, and that she wasn't afraid to question things.
Hmm.
I think maybe it's a New Zealand thing or maybe it's a people pleasing thing. I don't know. But I tend to just be like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
sure. Like, I kind of have a habit of just agreeing
Okay.
and not going, actually, I don't agree with that. Actually,
Hmm.
or even just like, I don't understand
Hmm.
and kind of like explain that to me more. Um, yeah, she kind of, Celine is someone that I for the past couple of years have really aspired
Hmm.
to become more like, unashamed,
Hmm.
or to not to have gumption, I suppose,
Hmm.
and to not shy away of from questioning things.
Hmm.
Mm, yeah, and all the other things I said before, her spontaneity and courage and also like this is actually something I've talked about a few times today. Like playing Rose in FACKHAM Hall, something I
Hmm.
loved about that was because she's a very romantic person.
Hmm.
She loves that kind of starry-eyed feeling,
Hmm.
and I'm the complete opposite of that. But I think Celine, Julie Delpy, has that quality also, the kind of leaning into the romance of life, of whatever situation that she's in.
Hmm. Watching all of these recently for the first time and back to back to back to back, like through the third one when they are older and they're together and the sort of the bloom is off the rose and things are they it's so fascinating watching like this the first movie like again for this conversation so soon on the heels of watching all three because you see those through lines between the things that they talk about fearing and what they might become and what you see them become in their marriage to each other. Like it's fucking
Yeah.
crazy that Richard Linklater pulled that they all pulled this off together.
Have you ever been in love?
Yes. Next question. What
Wait,
was
wait,
the first
wait a minute.
What?
So I can give one word answer?
Sure, why not?
No, after I went into such private details about my first sexual
Yeah,
feelings.
I
for
know, but
this guy-
those are two very different questions. I mean, I could have answered the sexual feelings things, no problem. But, love, I mean, what if I asked you about love?
I would have lied, but at least,
Yeah,
I would have
you
made up
would've
a great
lied.
story. I mean, I
Great.
don't know.
I mean, love is a complex issue, I mean, it's like, yes, I have told somebody that I love them before, and I've meant it, but was it totally unselfish, giving love? Was it a beautiful thing? Not really. It's like love, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
What you see over the course of this night in Before Sunrise, like toward the end of the movie, so we're getting deep into night, it's getting close to sunrise, and there's that quiet moment that they have in an alley together where they're just sitting down. Like normally they're walking throughout this whole movie, and they're finally just sitting down, and it's super late, and Julie Delpy has this moment, Celine has this moment where she starts like, she's like, what did she say? She's like, it's hard to be like an icon of womanhood. Like, and she's not playing it for a laugh.
Talking seriously here. I mean, I always feel this pressure of being a strong and independent icon of womanhood and not making look like my whole life is revolving around some guy. But loving someone and being loved means so much to me. I always make fun of it and stuff. But isn't everything we're doing in life a way to be loved a little more?
She talks about like that tension between wanting to be really self-possessed. And she has this sort of, she's the one who's more curious about the world a little bit than Ethan Hawke. Like she's more embracing of the fortune teller and she's more embracing of like the poet on the street. And he's a bit more the eye-rolling skeptic. So
That's me. I'm Ethan Hawke.
And so she has this hunger for the world, but at the same time, he's also the one who's got a bit more whimsy about him. And she has more anger. And you see that crystallize as the series goes on too. Like you see the anger that she has in there because she's the one who cares more. It feels like the anger wells up more because she's so invested, but that's all tangential to the point of her saying that like, you know, it's hard to be this icon of womanhood, but like also like the softness of wanting someone to love and be loved by is also something that's so incredibly important to her. But you feel that is a tension that sits in her life where those two things do not feel like they are easily accessible together. Not least of all, I'm sure, because of like the gendered expectation around like a woman standing on her convictions surely isn't making time for love. So like wanting to, the process I feel like of growing up as a woman is in part, at least a little bit, disabusing oneself of those notions that they have to live in the exclusive pockets of those two things being separate, but also knowing and feeling the tension of trying to merge them together.
Yeah, I think that is it's such a, how long ago was Before Sunrise made?
1995.
Yeah, I mean, it's just as relevant. All of these things that you just mentioned are just as relevant then as they are now, or now as they are then. Like, I am unfortunately a bit addicted to TikTok.
Well, they've done a real good job making it for that way for a lot of people.
Yeah. But there's been I've been seeing videos on TikTok about how now suddenly it's cringe to have a boyfriend, and I've not looked very deeply into it.
No, I've absolutely seen this. Like, I think it was like there was like a Vogue article that was like having a boyfriend is so tired.
Yeah. Does it, you probably know more about it then, but I assume it has something to do with like wanting to be a strong, independent woman.
Yeah, I think it's the sense of like that it's just like it's an obligation, it's an anchor, and like the work that you might have to do to raise your boyfriend, like why not just treat yourself kind of thing.
Yeah. I think like we as humans, like all have so many facets, so many complexities to us. And on one hand, yes, we want to be able to stand alone and to be strong and to be able to, be outspoken and courageous and whatever. But then on the other hand, like, it's also really important to be vulnerable and to have intimacy and to have quiet moments. And like, you need a partner in that. Or you need not a partner. They don't have to be a romantic person. It doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but even just somebody. We all need connection. It's incredibly important for us to feel connected to other human beings. But it's hard. Being a woman is hard, feeling like you need to be strong and not too emotional, but also just feeling delicate and vulnerable at the same time. There are so many expectations that are placed on us.
Well, yeah, because there's the having a boyfriend is embarrassing discourse at the same time as there is the male loneliness epidemic discourse, and all of those are things that we are supposed to solve.
Yeah.
They're actually things that we're also all responsible for solving, ladies. Yeah. So
yeah, but women, I think, we have a tendency to feel like we need to be the problem solvers.
Yeah.
We women, at least I'm speaking for myself, like I feel like it's a feminine part of me that feels like I need to be, that I'm responsible for whatever the issue is. Or like I need to be the one to fix whatever is wrong. I don't know if that's like a maternal thing or I don't know what that is in our DNA, I might be wrong. I feel like it's a feminine thing.
No, that's a story. I would say that is categorically like historically aligned as a
Yeah,
very like femininely aligned trait. And that's
yeah.
actually something where like, you saying like this kind of like being a year of yes. Like
Mm.
how does year of yes for Thomasin coincide with year of I don't know, what is that answer to like for other people who approach you wanting a yes? What is the balance of yes for you and
Mm.
I don't know, how much yes does that mean giving to other people compared to like historically you say like I feel more oriented to please and be like, okay, yeah, sure.
Yeah, yeah. I think at the beginning of the year, everyone like makes New Year's resolutions
Yes.
and very quickly they kind of fall off at the beginning of the year, I was very much saying yes, 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 yes. And
Mhm.
then I very quickly realized, oh, hang on, really tiring. And I actually maybe do need to say, like, it's important to be able to say no.
Mhm.
Um, I am innately a people pleaser and I'm very non-confrontational and I
Mhm.
want to make people feel as comfortable around me and as happy around me as possible.
Mhm.
And so that means like sometimes I give a bit too much of myself away.
Yeah.
And it's important to be able to just, yeah, keep some of that energy
Mhm.
for yourself.
Well, that actually gets at something that I wanted to ask about, like as a professional and watching something like the Before trilogy, watching Before Sunrise, I've read you as well talk about like how important collaboration is to you, and
Yeah.
this is like in the Before trilogy, we have like an ultimate example of like actor, writer, director collaboration, like creating character together, like creating these things in process. And I
Mhm.
like that is a lot of giving of oneself to this is like this whole trilogy is just like people being vulnerable as very real entities on screen for
Yeah.
over the course of like one night, one day. And I wanted to hear from you in term like what is your response to a movie like this in terms of somebody who really prizes that collaborative aspect of what you do? And filmmaking, one of my favorite things about it is that's like it's an ultimate team sport. And
Yeah.
so how does it speak to you, appeal to you as a professional in this industry?
I think that the that Julie Delpy, Ethan Hawke, and Richard Linklater, I assume that they must have had a lot of trust in each other
Yeah.
because to be able to achieve that level of vulnerability and intimacy on scene, that quality that they achieved
Hmm.
requires a lot of trust. I mean, I just wrapped a film in Germany that was being directed by Paul Greengrass,
Mm.
who, oh my gosh, I was so honored to be working with
Yeah,
him.
congratulations. That's amazing.
Insane. And in that film, my character reveals something absolutely devastating and very vulnerable. It was a really, really, really vulnerable scene for
Mhm.
me. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I trusted Paul 100%.
Mhm.
And he shared a piece of information with me that allowed me to get to the level of emotion that the scene required.
Mm.
And for him to have shared that information with me required him to trust in me as well.
Mhm.
And my scene partner was Andrew Garfield, which
You had the tools to
I
succeed.
mean, it's quite, yeah, mind-boggling. But I had trust in Andrew that he was able to like hold me in that scene, and he trusted in me that I was able to hold him in the performance that he was giving. So yeah, just like watching Before Sunrise, Before Sunrise. Every time I question whether which one it is.
You're
Before
nailing it. You're nailing it.
every time when I watch that, I think, wow, they must have had a lot of trust in each other
Mhm.
because you could tell watching it that the real human being was very present
Mhm.
in front of the camera, that they didn't have any walls up. And I think that is required of a great performance to allow yourself to be seen
Mhm.
again, that requires trust in the people making the film. So, yeah.
Do you find that is that because, assuming that like a level of trust needs to be baked in between director and performer on any set to allow for like something to truly be tapped into, is that kind of experience that you had with Paul Greengrass, does that stand out as sort of above and beyond what you would consider like a standard exchange between you and a filmmaker to really pull vulnerability from you? Or is that like, no, I've come to expect that as a performer? That is kind of the baseline of how I need to operate, or does that feel special?
That's a great question. I think that's rare.
It
I mean,
sounds because it sounds like it does. Like I
yeah,
see how it like helps with the job, but it also sounds like there's a reason Paul Greengrass is Paul Greengrass, and like
yeah.
he's accomplished what he has.
I mean, Paul comes from a documentary background.
That's interesting.
So, yeah, and I mean his films like Bloody Sunday and
Hmm.
United in Three, like when I watched those, particularly Bloody Sunday, I could not comprehend that it was a feature film,
Yeah.
that it was that it was acted. I couldn't
Yeah.
comprehend that I was watching actors
Hmm.
because it felt so real. And I think that is a very special skill that Paul has to be able to bring that out of actors.
Hmm.
The ability that he just, I think it's also the way that he uses the camera. The camera is like the DP who was also the Steadicam operator. His name was also Paul. It's very confusing. Um,
Before sunrise, before sunset, it's Paul, it's
yeah.
Paul.
Oh my gosh. For someone who has like a horrible memory, it's very easily, it's like it's not a great combination. Um, yeah, I think it's like the way that Paul used the camera. Because they were just like they filmed everything. The camera was always on. You were always on camera.
Yeah.
So they were really looking for the very human moments when you're not acting, you're actually just being. But to go back to your initial question, sorry, I have a bad habit of like rambling and kind of going around.
No, I'm
places.
actually like that is actually a topic I'm very specifically been interested lately is documentary filmmakers and professionals going into narrative and the kind of unique skill set of journalistic observation and documentation and reactivity that you develop
Yeah,
with that and then bringing that to narrative and just
yeah,
like not as a better or worse thing, but just as a different prime skill set to sort of catch people in a moment that you know doesn't come back because
yeah,
documentary it's fleeting. Like that's the point of it. It doesn't happen again. It's spontaneous. It is on its feet. And I feel like there just has to be at least a sensibility that can help ingrain in you going into feature filmmaking that you would be so primed to catch people in those just like evanescent moments that just kind of flash away.
yeah. I
So I'm
mean,
thrilled you brought that up. Thank you. I've been so interested in that lately.
you should have Paul on the show.
Dude, text him. You tell him, and I am ready. We will provide email addresses.
Okay, prepare. He loves to talk about football, so you might have to do a bit of research into football before.
Listen, I'm a bit like, are you talking soccer? Or are you talking
Yeah,
like soccer
soccer.
football? Okay,
Soccer.
I'll bone up. I'll bone up. I was like, I got American football on lock, but I think you might be talking about another thing. But yes, to the point that like I don't want to distract you from a distraction, but to the point that you were making as we got into the vulnerability, the accessing of things, and like
Yeah.
whether or not that's like an extraordinary experience for you or it tends to be pretty common.
I think it's rare. I
Okay.
think it's very
Oh,
rare.
that's
I
so
think
special.
like film sets are quite stressful environments.
Hmm.
There's so much going on, and so there's very little time for you to actually connect with the people you're working with,
Hmm.
like to be present in the moment and to be present with each other. There's like it's difficult. It's hard to find the time to be.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, I'm just, I'm such a big fan of Paul's. I could compliment him all day, every day, but he provides people with that time the time to let their barriers down. The
Hmm.
time you need time to like be
Hmm.
vulnerable. You can't just show up and have your barriers down. It kind of takes warming into. I don't know.
Hmm.
the reason I've been thinking about, having the confidence to explore things and take time, which I think is a theme in Before Sunset. They just kind of like, there was no rush. They were taking it was about the journey. I've been just thinking about that because I felt like there was very rare. Paul gave the actors on this film that we just wrapped, the opportunity to take their time.
Yeah.
And to ask
like the one thing they're not making more of, and the thing that is costing money. Like, that's the thing you hear, like, from any film. Like, well, the thing I wish I would have had more of is time. And, like, to be able to give that to your actors, I mean, like, it feels like there's kind of nothing better you could give them.
No, there really isn't. Just, like, the time to connect with each other, or even to, like, just understand what you're doing, what the scene actually is. Paul provided us with that time, and it gave me the confidence. Retrospectively,
Sure.
I mean, I realized this afterwards, that it's okay to take the time that you need.
Uh-huh.
And I think we're just living in such a fast-paced world, and like living in London, I mean, it's always go here. Right. So yeah, it's just a reminder to take things slow and to enjoy the time that you've got.
It is time for a break, but I will be right back with Thomasin McKenzie, and we will talk about some of her earliest roles, including Deborah Granick's Leave No Trace, a real piece of Portland, Oregon cinema treasure. And then at the end, I will have one quick thing before I go, just about the fact it is our 200th episode, and some fun plugs for Christmas gift ideas to celebrate friends of the show that we have had over the course of these 200 fantastic conversations. So stick around at the end for that.
Hello?
Hello, I'm calling on behalf of the Beef and Dairy Network podcast.
No, I'm sorry. No sales calls. Goodbye.
It's a multi-award-winning podcast featuring guests such as Ted Danson, Nick Offerman, Josie Long.
I don't know what a Josie Long is, and anyway, I'm about to take my mother into town to see Phantom of the Opera at last. You are wasting my time, and even worse, my mother's time. She only has so much time left. She's 98 years old. She's only expected to live for another 20 or 30 years. Mother, get your shoes on. Yes, the orthopedic ones. I don't want to have to carry you home again, do I?
Right, well, if you were looking for a podcast...
Mother, you're not wearing that, are you? It's very revealing, Mother. This is a musical theatre, not a Parisian bordello.
Simply go to MaximumFun.org.
I'm reaching for my Samsung Galaxy 4 as we speak. Mother! Mother, not that hat!
Have you been looking for a new podcast all about nerdy pop culture? Well, I have just the thing for you. Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries.
Secret Histories of Nerd Mysteries is a weekly pop culture history podcast hosted by me, host Alston.
And me, host Brenda. We've already tackled mysteries such as what happened to the puppets from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer? Is Snoopy Mexican? And why do people hate Barney so much?
From theme parks to cartoons to 80s, 90s, and 2000s nostalgia, we tackle it all.
Check us out every Tuesday on MaximumFun.org and wherever you get podcasts.
Deborah Granick in with Leave No Trace. I feel like that was sort of like a first big introduction for more global audience to you. Had been working in New Zealand to that point, of course, and the acting wasn't necessarily your passion. Your mother is a very famed drama instructor, teacher, but like you didn't seem interested in it. Leave No Trace was, it seems like it was as small as it felt. Like Deborah Granick's not like a blockbuster maker, and it's you, it's Ben Foster. Crazy to watch him walking across the St. John's Bridge and being like, shit, you could just live in the middle of Portland and still be living off the grid. I'm from just south of Portland, so it's like, oh, look at that. But like, how was that as coming into your career young and having that really, that feels like a Deborah Granick experience when you're just starting out, feels like a really great way to like enter into this and have perhaps the time on a no time scale. It feels like she makes patient films, and it feels like it's a movie where people get the chance to be patient within them.
You're hitting the nail on the head. I mean, that is another filming experience that I had, which I didn't even think about this until you just brought it up. until you just identified that that was another film where we had the time. Like, I don't remember. I mean, it was a while ago now, but
Yeah, you were very young.
I can barely remember it. But I don't ever remember being rushed on that set either. Deborah definitely provided the space just to kind of, I don't know, just, yeah, to take the time.
Yeah.
To be able to think things through and not feel like you have to have really quick responses. And I think something that I learned in this industry, or something that I was taught, which I'm trying to unlearn, is that you have to be really snappy
Right.
and keep the pace up in the dialogue, and not like let the silence go on for too long or whatever, not take a pause, not take a breath.
And that's absolutely the cadence of our attention economy as well. So like the ambient thing that surrounds you, 100% the same.
Yeah. And for a lot of films, that is what keeping up the pace is what's required. But it's also, I don't know, I think it's really important to be able to just like exist in the silence and in the moments in between as well. Yeah.
Even as a little girl, they wanted me to think as a future career as a, interior designer or a lawyer or something like that. I'd say to my dad, I want to be a writer. And he'd say journalist. I'd say I wanted to have a refuge for stray cats, and he'd say veterinarian. I'd say I wanted to be an actress, and he'd say, TV newscaster. It was this constant conversion of my fanciful ambition into this practical money-making ventures.
I always had a pretty good bullshit detector when I was a kid, I always knew when they were lying to me, By the time I was in high school, I was dead set on listening to what everybody thought I should be doing with my life and just kind of doing the opposite.
One of the things that I wanted to make sure and ask you about was, in sort of multiple interviews, I've read you talk about how like, I was ready to be a veterinarian. Like I wasn't interested. I grew up on sets. Like this was very disenchanted to me. It was just a job. It was not glamorous. And then you had a role, I think it was at 15, in a film called Consent that you have talked about. Like you realize that it's a profession that could give you a voice.
Yeah.
And as somebody who has sort of like maintained like a fantasy of being small, and we've talked about that, like it talked about like a sense of wanting to be agreeable. But then what was it that you lit upon when you were a teenager, where you were like, no, it's important enough for me that this gives me a voice that I'm actually going to change my mind and I'm going to make this a career?
Yeah. I mean, that film had such a huge impact on me. It was a true story about a woman called Louise Nicholas who was raped at the age of, I think she was 12 or 13, by a policeman. And then the abuse went on for a very long time. And she wasn't believed when she finally shared what had happened to her. And the policemen, because it turned into multiple policemen abusing her, they got away without consequence. And it ignited an anger in me. And yeah, like you said, it kind of opened my eyes to the fact that through acting, I do have a voice. And I think it was important that, I have the ability to have a positive influence on the world. And I think it, the fact that I didn't have to, I could have that positive influence. I could have that conversation through something.
Yeah.
Through film, through that medium, than having it directly.
You're like, as I've said, I avoid confrontation.
The fact that I could do it, have that conversation with people through art.
Yeah.
And I'm only just realizing this now. That probably is why acting appealed to me. Yeah. The fact that I could have conversation with people, that I could make positive change through art is what really kind of opened my eyes.
Well, and obviously, like this will be like my kind of final point, I guess. But like with Jojo Rabbit, like that was a movie with like, though through its humor, Taika Waititi very much had something to say with that. And the movie Joy that you had that came out, I think it was last year, about like the history of how IVF was created and the role of a female nurse in how that came to the fore, whose story had never been told. And so I guess my final question would be then, what is your relationship to that voice as you've become a veteran actor who's worked with, just to shout out, fucking Paul Greengrass, M. Night Shyamalan, Deborah Granick, like Taika Waititi in there. Like you're assembling a great murderer's row of collaborative filmmakers in there. Edgar Wright, etc. Yes, not to leave anybody off.
It's ridiculous. I don't know how I have gotten so lucky.
I mean, maybe you're good.
I mean, yeah.
Luck is inevitably a part of it, but also, you make your chance favors the prepared mind, and maybe you're prepared by being good. Maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, gosh, I can't. Gosh, what was the question? I'm so flustered. Ow.
No, not at all. Just what you feel like your relationship to that voice that sort of the desire to have it and share it seized so much upon you to like create a career path for you, coming into a veteran era of your career, even at like I think 25 as you are now. Like, what is that voice meaning to you now? Do you find?
I think I discovered it at a young age. And when I was still in my teens, I did consent when I was 13, and that's when I kind of discovered that voice. And then it developed when I was, 16 doing Leave No Trace, and then 17 on Jojo Rabbit, and like
insane.
And then when I hit my 20s, suddenly I kind of questioned a lot of things, whether I had anything to say at all. And then, more and more of just catastrophes happened in the world.
Yeah.
And more and more I thought, gosh, I don't know if I am worthy of saying things. And now I'm starting to develop that sense of a voice again. So it's an ongoing discovery. But it's really important to me to do good. Whatever I do, I just want to do good. And I think making films is such a fantastic platform to do that, because you're not forcing any opinion on people. It's like presenting an alternative, a different point of view, a different experience to the audience, and that might open their minds a little bit. Jojo Rabbit is a great example of that. We weren't forcing anything on anybody, but we got to people through humor.
I feel like that's a lovely place. That's a lovely bow to put on the conversation. Thomasin McKenzie, thank you so much for your time and for your career to date and your career going forward. And I look forward to, at some point, presenting you with a miniature.
I can't wait. Thank you for having me. You're such a fantastic interviewer. I hope I did okay.
This was the privilege and delight that I have been hoping for literally years. So thank you for coming on. Thank you for listening. And thank you for your time. And good luck putting FACKHAM Hall out in the world. It's so funny.
Thank you so much. It's been so lovely to talk to you.
Thank you so much to Thomasin McKenzie. Thank you for taking the chance on us, for saying yes, for going on this beautiful excursion with us, for telling us about your love of The Borrowers, and for bringing us this new, one of the best comedies of the year. Like I've been saying to people, Naked Gun-esque FACKHAM Hall. It comes to theaters this weekend, and you would be remiss if you didn't treat yourself to this and add it to that list of holiday specials that, you know, you can get the whole family around for a good time. Highlight among the movie a running bit about J.R.R. Tolkien gathering bits for the eventual story that will become Lord of the Rings for no reason at all. It's just funny. It's just funny. So check it out. And now, of course, that one quick thing before we go. These conversations, which always go by way too quickly from the chair I'm sitting in, and I hope you have felt the same. I want to thank all of you for listening. I want to thank you all for telling your friends and family and people that you meet in line at Whole Foods and Trader Joe's that there is a podcast they've got to be listening to, and it is Feeling Seen. It is such a treat. I get so excited to record every episode of the show. I want you to be sure of that. And it is such an honor to have the vulnerable and funny and expansive and interesting conversations that come out of the framing we have for the show. And I just couldn't be happier to be doing this. And I also want to say, shouts out, it's been like 4 years to get to the 200 mark, I think. I don't bring this up, but I'm going to bring it up today. Thank you to the publicists. Thank you, publicists, for everything you have done, for every character pick you have chased down, for every email you have sent telling us you're going to get right on that. You're trying, you're pushing, you're checking in. Wrangling talent is no easy task, and adding the condition for our Feeling Seen premise is just one more thing to get over the hurdle when you're in the middle of a promotion cycle to get a movie or a show out into the world. Publicists, we could not do this without you here on Feeling Seen. So thank you for tracking down every one of the characters that we have ever discussed on the show and making sure that I am able to prepare for these conversations I love having so much. And in case you want to get some Feeling Seen related presents this Christmas, the new movie from friend of the show, Paul Feig, The Housemaid, comes out in December, starring Amanda Seyfried and Sydney Sweeney. So we always want to check out the new Paul Feig joint. And if you want to get some books for some stocking stuffers for the literati in your life, remember we had Manuel Betancourt on, and he wrote The Male Gazed on Hunks, Heartthrobs, and What Pop Culture Taught Me About Desiring Men. There is also Kyle Turner's The Queer Film Guide, 100 Great Movies That Tell LGBTQIA plus stories. Anna Bogutskaya, one of my favorite guests of all time, she was promoting her book, Unlikable Female Characters, The Women Pop Culture Wants You to Hate, when she came on the show, but since that time has also put out Feeding the Monster, Why Horror Has a Hold on Us. And of course, recent guest Kevin Smokler has the book Break the Frame, Conversations with Women Filmmakers. All things Feeling Seen sanctioned material that, you dive into our archives. Oh my gosh, and Emily St. James with her novel Woodworking. Can you believe it? We started this show 200 episodes ago with titans like Emily St. James, like Susan Orlean, and here we are today bringing you Thomasin McKenzie on the heels of people like Tina Romero and Shea Whigham, my God, Shea Whigham, and Chris Sullivan and Katie O'Brien and Allison Williams, and I couldn't be more pleased to meet and talk to all these people, and I hope, so hope that you have been engaged and entertained all these years. And so, as I said before, you can keep telling your friends about us. That is the 200th episode of our show. You can keep up with us wherever you get your podcasts and wherever you can recommend other people to the podcast. You can follow the pod wherever you're listening right now to get every episode in your feed as it drops. Again, tell others to do the same. You can follow us to find out more on Instagram at Feeling Seen Pod. We are also on Blue Sky, me and the show. You can search Feeling Seen or Jorcru, Jorcru, which is also where I remain on Twitter. Our theme music is by Andrew Epen. Our producer is Marissa Flaxbart, and shouts out to the founding producer of the show, Casey O'Brien, who was so wonderful in the process of getting this off the ground. And as ever, our senior producers remain Kevin Ferguson and Laura Swisher, and this is a podcast, you know it, of maximum fun.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
Supported directly by you.